Well, let's go ahead and call the Finance Committee meeting to order here. It's a couple minutes after 5. We'll go ahead and get started. First item of business is the roll call. Do you take that, please?
Yes. Alderman John Pecorelli.
Here.
Alderwoman Courtney Day. Here. Alderman Jason Craig is excused. Dennis.
Here.
Cheehy. Don Howard.
Here.
Mira Kresovic.
Present.
Mohammed. What's that?
Present. Sorry, I forgot to say.
No worries.
Speaker.
Mohammed Nauman is not here. Finance Director Brown is not here.
And then I am here, and obviously Mayor Nelson is here.
All right. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Item 2 is citizens' comment period. I don't know if you have anybody other than some of the city staff that's going to be discussing and presenting and sharing information with us. Anyone from the community? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close that. In terms of the meeting minutes, I think what we'll do is we'll put all 4 of these together and then approve all of those kind of at the end. So, continuing on our discussion, this is primarily meeting number 2 of a series that is reviewing and looking at different components of the 2025 mayor proposed budget for the city of Franklin.
Sure. I have one, but I don't know where it is. I did want to say that the clerk's department, the clerk has to leave early, so we're going to make sure to keep her relatively at the top.
Okay. Yeah, we can take some of these out of order. I know some folks don't go. But anyway, back to my comments. This is meeting 2 of what's estimated to be 4 for kind of the Finance Committee's review of the 2025 proposed budget. So we'll be continuing on with that process tonight. Do we have a specific order, Kelly? Do we want to do the clerk's office first?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. Why don't we do that? We'll take some of these out of order, but we'll go ahead and obviously.
Everybody will be heard, though.
I believe that starts on page 111 in our document. If I'm not mistaken.
46.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the one.
Economic
Yes.
development.
Excuse me, page 46.
You're welcome.
First time I've been at one of these, so if I do something wrong, correct me.
Yes.
Yep. And just looking on page 48, the filing fees. I see, and I did this with Danielle because I did not know how to help me with it. The filing fees are fees that when we record something with the Register of Deeds office. So we estimated $1,500, and she said I should go up to $2,000 when we looked at what was spent already. She suggested we go up to $2,000. I see it's back down to $1,500. So I don't know. That's just something I want. Office supplies. We budgeted $2,700, and I see that was brought down to $900. To date, we've spent $1,342. And I did put in there for 2 chairs. Some of the girls in the office chairs throughout the day lower as they're working. So I did put in for 2 chairs there. Printing things, items. Danielle suggested $1,200. I see that was pushed back down to $500. And right now, year to date, we're at $841. Official notices and advertising, that's notices that have to be published in the newspaper. Right now, we're at $89.33. with the cost of the printing and that going up, Danielle's, when we work together to go 1,300, I see that's back to 9,000. Because we're almost at the 9,000 right now. Also in the capital budget, put in $4,000 for Badger books. The Badger books are about, we got them in 2007, so they're about 7 years old. And I had talked with Jim in IT, and I checked with some other municipalities. Instead of paying the $100 a year for the maintenance on the Badger books, we suggested maybe putting $2,000. The Badger books cost around $2,000 a piece. So she suggested we put 2 Badger books in and not do the maintenance fee. Because since we've had them, I think I've sent 2 back. So, and with the age of it was, I maybe not pay the maintenance fee and then just put money in the capital budget to replace them as they.
I do have one question. For the supplies and the printing, that area, are you still kind of having that supply closet where other departments can come and kind of forage and then write down in the book and then you charge back to them? So,
Yes.
So in theory, other departments are using your office supplies, so it's your budget that's buying the thing.
I don't know if it's our budget or if it's administration.
Is it your budget?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. All right, that was the one part that I wanted to make sure we weren't sorting ourselves on.
Yeah, and I think then Linda goes through each month and goes back or sends something into. I have it.
Yeah, everybody kind of signs off on their own department saying this is what the supplies were. And
Yeah.
Yep.
And I haven't done this long enough to know. I don't know, like, if the alderman's takes. I don't know. Kelly, do you know? Does that come out of?
That has been coming out of, I'd have to look back, but
Yeah,
it
Linda
is
does
covered
that.
in a budget line item. Is probably mine. To be perfectly honest, I'm not exactly sure. I could look back and determine where that might be coming from the alderman or the mayor's budget as well.
And office supplies too. Maybe we have 4 elections here, so that's
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
If the election cycle this year kind of upped
threw
it a
everything
little bit.
off because they only budgeted last year.
Okay.
We have
How many are we expecting next year?
only 2, hopefully.
Okay.
I'm hoping only 2.
Any other questions for Shirley and the clerks, police department, clerk services? Personnel staying the same, no change. And the election costs, I know we talked, Shirley, this year, Alderwoman May mentioned, but we have that appropriately targeted for next year?
Yes. If I did, like I said, I sat down with Danielle and
Okay.
figured out, like the last time when it was 2 elections. The only problem is like printing costs have gone up, paper has gone up, everything.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move on.
I have to say,
Yes.
Well, I guess maybe. I don't.
no or yeah?
I don't think so. I think
No.
it's pretty
No,
straightforward.
the only thing I changed in there is that CSAC agreement.
The what?
CSAC, that music agreement. It was $300 budgeted last year. It has not been used. It has not been paid for probably over 10 years.
Can you say that louder? I can't.
It's on
hear.
page
speak up.
40, on page 41.
Okay.
The
Oh,
memberships, the CSAC. is the
Society of
yeah.
European Stage Authors.
That was always budgeted at 300, but we looked back when they contacted me and said that we had to pay it, but it was a bill of $12.15. And we looked back, Sarah helped me, we looked back and it was always budgeted for 300, but it was never paid. So We paid that this year, it was the 12th. Other than that, I think the only other one that went up is the American Society of Composers. That I think is $350 and it's $4.
Can I ask what these memberships are providing? Do the aldermen, are they aware of this, and are you utilizing the memberships?
Like the CSAC and the broadcast music, that's for us to do any music, okay? Like the concerts in the
Yeah.
park, all of that stuff. And I know there's some cities that CSAC has been targeting, and they have been given like a fee because they have not been there.
Is that a music license
Yes,
then?
it's a music license.
What is it, like royalties or something like that, and
Correct.
copyright
Yep.
infringement to
Yep,
avoid
so we
that?
pay
I
them a
remember
one-time
hearing this
fee.
earlier this year, right?
Yeah, we paid them a one-time fee.
Mhm.
So it's the CSAC, the broadcast, and the American Society of Composers. Those are all licenses.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Any questions on that? Alderman budget on page?
And like I said, the supplies went up because I'd like to get those 2 chairs. They don't get short throughout the day.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, next we'll go to economic development, page 160.
Yep.
Jody will be coming with you.
Do what?
Seamart's, that's all on there.
And weights and measures and weed control.
Hire
Do
people.
we have this?
If there's a specific need, we'll route it back to you.
Oh, no, thank you.
Making sure, like, all right.
I saw
All right, page 160, economic development. If you want to share some oversight with us, go ahead.
Sure. Thanks for giving me a few minutes tonight to give you some highlights of our program coming up in the year 2025. The Economic Development Commission has initiated a strategic planning process for economic development, and we should have that plan in early 2025. And part of the activities that are going to result from that, and I have to forecast this because we're sending out the surveys here in a week. We'll send them out in the water bills. But what I see coming out of that is going to generate more activities with marketing services and other professional services that are in the budget. And we'll also continue our ongoing efforts for outreach to the existing business community through the Business Appreciation Celebration, which is in your budget, and through retention expansion programs. So we've also worked on 9 major prospects this year, and we've done work on getting them cited and worked with TID financing for them, and that's a major time commitment on my part. And I also serve as executive staff for the Economic Development Commission and Tourism Commission. And so with the EDC's strategic plan coming up, I expect an increase in advertising and marketing. And I'm going to have materials and project consultant. And the Tourism Commission has initiated a grant program, so it's going to require time for me to do application processing. So what that adds up to is needing marketing and other professional service budget. And so that's why those are in there. However, in pivoting from the strategic planning mode to the implementation forecasting, I was actually able to cut professional. So, that's part of the budget that I submitted that you see. The business volunteer recognition program is going to have to rely on remnant funds towards the end of the year to meet its full needs, funding that event. And is with what I expect coming up for activity, I don't think the EDC is going to have the time to do fundraising. I won't either. So we have dollars left over at the end of the year, we'll be able to meet the approximately $10,000 to $11,000 budget as we did this year. Those were some of those funds I was able to save when we were bidding out our strategic planning service. We have some materials being developed now, and we're looking at having a biannual report developed, and it'll build on some of these materials that we have here. You can just pass them around so folks can look at them. I do have some if you want copies of those. So we'll have some more of that product coming out this year and more next year. So I think I've got all my basic materials covered, actually updated. And so I'm looking ahead to what's going to come out with a strategic plan, other marketing.
All right. Any other comments or questions regarding economic development and their activities?
Just this activity measures that you have on page 161, how is it actually? How is it actually?
How are those calculated? Actually, we get that information either from the finance department or from the inspection services. And so what's measured is the permits are counted, and then the valuation that's assessed to those, the costs that are attached to those, the permits that haven't been built yet, that's part of that measure. And then I believe the assessed valuation for projects that are completed are in there. And so these should actually kind of be a year in arrears, because we can't forecast what's in 2024, but not in 2025.
I wanted to point out that John took the initiative to find a way to decrease money and expenses on this survey by putting an insert into the water bill. So I just want to identify that there's a lot of department heads here that really took the initiative to find ways to make what we're doing here less expensive. Thank you.
All right, anything else for economic development? Hearing none, we will move on. Thank you much again.
Will we be touching on tourism tonight? Or not? Don't see it on the agenda.
Don't see it on the agenda. Let me see if it's on.
It does. It's kind of its own revenue stream, and so it doesn't enter into these budget areas.
Did you want to touch it on it? I mean, I'm not going to.
I just don't want to. I just don't want to leave, and then it comes up.
I don't see it on the budget or the schedule at all. But
Okay, that's right.
we're more than happy to listen
okay.
if you want to talk about it.
I can.
That get you outside
Yep.
of the agenda, Ralph?
Yeah. That could be. That's fine.
All right.
Okay, no worries.
We have weights and measures. It should be pretty quick. 111. Kelly, if you would make a comment or two there, but
I don't
straightforward.
think I saw any changes. There's nothing that's changed over the years.
We
so.
just outsourced that service, correct?
Yes. Yep, we contract with the state of Wisconsin.
And then we turn around and pull that back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next.
St. Martin's
St.
Fair,
Martin's Fair.
188. budget, I'm not exactly sure where here it is. It's on 184 is the department description portion of it, or the project description. I don't know if anybody has any questions, nor do I know if I can answer any of them because I'm not close to the St. Martin's Fair piece.
I guess just generally the same questions that we kind of rose about the celebration, just the deficit that it runs in, and, just having that committee be more cognizant of that. I don't know if they operate under the same kind of idea that we were discussing with
Civic
civic
celebration.
celebration. Because I think, I'm fairly certain a lot of people on that are aware of the amount of money that the city expends in services for that. So, but
Well, and that transfers increased from 11,000 early 2022-23 period of last year.
What is that? 41,000 from 11,000. So, yeah, I mean, and to your point, I think it's one of those things where as a community we have to decide, is this something that we want to continue down this path, or do we need to look for a different way of supporting it and carrying it forward?
Overtime salaries, that's the transfer. All right, questions here? $5,000 question. Hearing
Sorry,
none-
say again, I could barely hear you.
Excuse me?
I could barely hear you.
I said the total appropriation is 65,812 is request for. Hearing none, let's move on to fleet 143 and 44.
Once again, this is through the clerk's office, and the weed commissioner don't have much knowledge of this besides that we have a weed commissioner that goes out based upon, I would say, complaints that come to the city and act upon those when they are not handled after appropriate communication is provided to the homeowner, and he, I don't know, cuts the lawn. I have no idea beyond that what this.
And we charge that back to the property owner,
Yes.
correct? So it should, in all purposes, be a wash. So that was $4,000 in 24 and projected 25.
I know we send out notices to certified mail, which is not expensive. So is that covered in here? Is that what the official notices advertising budget is?
Yes.
Is it certified?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because we have to give proper notice, give time for them to act, and then when they don't, that's the catalyst for having the weed.
there's a trigger with, it's been a very popular call for me in the last few weeks. So there's a trigger, if they sign the certified letter to come back, they get a little bit longer to respond. If the certified letter goes unsigned, then it's a shorter time frame for our people to go out and cut it. So if it gets ignored, then they go out faster to cut it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that costs. It seems like $50 is not very much, but
talk to because I think certified mail is a lot more than a stamp right now.
Right. Yeah, and it looks like the request was 150 and
Right.
50's been budgeted, which is actually, currently we're running at 110. So there's gonna be that deficit there.
And it looks like it's trending up.
Yes.
As far as the complaints coming in or the notifications that have gone out.
Right.
Basically, it's a wash. I mean, we get
Well,
$4,000.
not the official noticing and all of that. I don't know that we do get that back. I guess I can't speak to it if that's put into the process or not.
It's $4,000.
That is my understanding. Yes, that's what we pay
Okay, I had excuse me, so what's the question?
for
We're on page
weed
143.
control. So
Page
weed
144? Okay,
control,
The question is, are we recouping our fees for certified letters and that sort of thing?
No, it's just in general, talking about the 4,000.
Yeah,
So basically, we get it.
it's added to the property tax roll.
that was my understanding as well. Would have to verify that with our director. But I'm pretty much positive that's how it works. Yeah, if you don't do it and we have to do it, it's going on your tax bill. That's
I mean, it's just a general question, not related to this, but this entire mailing thing, I don't know the obligation that all has to USPS, but don't we have options to people elect for electronic copies like that? So overall, reduce, just like the bank send out that if you opt for e-statement,
Well-
reduces a lot of our mailing.
Yeah, I'm gonna refer to the attorney, city attorney that's sitting here, but I think that there is an aspect where we have to show that notification was provided and received. That would be my understanding.
correct, and notices are done pursuant to Wisconsin statutes as well as the code.
Even the statements like the water bills, sewer bills, stuff like that.
Everything's different. And the world is changing electronically, obviously, all that stuff.
All right, that's weed control. Next, looks like we've got the grouping, that's all part of public works and engineering.
Yes.
Let's move on to that category or section. Looks like engineering starts on 113.
Yeah, we can try to tackle this together. If you don't mind, Kevin. To be perfectly honest, I'm not exactly sure how this year's request compares to last year's. I'm not even necessarily certain that the former engineer was able to enter everything in, or if it was just a carry forward from last year. With obviously updates to salaries and also insurance benefits. Yeah, well, so with the structural change, the idea is that you will not need to have a assistant city engineer to assist the city engineer because they have a narrow scope. Instead of 3 departments and 5 budgets, it's 1.
However, engineering has a system. Page 114. I'm referencing page 114 under the engineering admin assistant because it's bumped up from 1.5 to 2.0. not sure if that's actually gonna come to fruition.
But no, that's what we are currently, so we have 2 admin in engineering. I guess that's probably a typo because one of them is shared with water and sewer. So there's that backup. And those services are billed to water and sewer.
That was one of my questions, the allocated payroll at 180, which looks like it's been, has even been higher in some prior years. Is that the shared water personnel?
Which, where are you looking?
115, 115, down 5193.
Yeah, I think that is, that's what's charged back to water and
The
sewer.
other budget.
So technically, it should be probably 1.5 versus,
Correct.
because we are charging it out to the other department.
And how is the shared service or the services going to work? We're outsourcing this now,
Well,
or part of it?
right now, we have Mike Paulos and his team from Grave stepping in to provide engineering services. We have actually been outsourcing or bringing in consultants this entire time for all of our projects. So I don't really see it being too different in the short term. And I think, our goal would be to find a engineer that can manage the stormwater, the water and the sewer designing. That would be required that we are currently outsourcing.
The only reason I was just asking is because it seems like it's a significant dollar decrease from what we haven't done before. Am I looking at that right? And I think I got 300,000 of services being projected and recommended versus 402 estimated.
Mm-hmm. I really can't speak to that. I'm not exactly sure why there's that difference, unless it's being considered for personnel for
What
the
I-
2 positions that are open.
What I believe he did when he submitted this was he took out the number 2 position and said, well, if it's not going to be funded, he was going to pull it out of his projection, 2025. Meaning, so you had a city engineer, and assistant city engineer. So when assistant left in July, we weren't filling it. So then I believe that's when, he asked me, what's our plan? And I said, well, for right now, based on what we just talked about, the separation of water and DPW is off. Your budgets are less. We're going to try this for right now. So that's the difference.
Okay. I see in 23 it was 400,000.
That's because he had number 1 and number 2.
Well, and also there's a lot of work that oversees or overlaps rather with DPW and water and sewer, where now we're trying to have that within those departments and appropriate line items.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Any other questions, comments there? Anyone?
I know it's not a lot, but the software maintenance, there's a step down from what projected activity is. And equipment maintenance, the same thing. You know what drives that at all?
I know that we had recently upgraded a software program, did we not? I'm looking at Director Metelski on the CAD program, was it? There was some program that we had paid for this year. Maybe it's advance or I really again. I'm sorry, I can't speak to
CAD
this.
stuff is with the, it would be on the OPW, which is the system, and fleet line.
So we're expecting the cost to go down from what
I
they are
don't
this
know
year.
that. Fleet wise, it might have support maintenance agreements with it. I'm not privy to what the actual numbers were. Never hit that budget. That was support maintenance agreement for.
And seeing that some of the IT related stuff also within departments, and then also there's a bigger IT budget for software maintenance and all that. So why is there like separate? Why can't it be all under IT, where all the software maintenance, hardware maintenance, everything can go?
So I don't know why not, but what I do know is that in years past and obviously currently, we charge whatever IT expenses back to each department as appropriate.
So that the other software maintenance under IT, excluding all of this, or?
ITs typically would be an enterprise system that revolves around all departments. If it is a project, for example, we have PC replacements that is broken down to each department basis, and we're doing cost-based accounting on a per department basis on those type of areas. Some areas like telecommunication costs, if it's a specific charge for just one department will get their net revenue, but then if we have something like the voice over IP phones, it's everybody, that's normally then reflected up at the IT department.
I have one other question.
Yes, go ahead, Courtney.
Now that we have, at least for right now, we have Rafe on board handling some things for us. At least in my year and a half of doing the budget on this level and being in council, previous engineer had brought forth contracts for other consultants. Are we still looking to do that in this year coming forward, or is Rafe going to kind of handle that piece of it and we don't need the other 2 or 3 consultants?
Correct. So yeah, I had this conversation with Mike at Grave relatively recently, and he and I agreed that it really made no sense for his engineering firm to put out an RFP for engineering services, so that they would obviously take that and fill that need, and we would not be contracting out as much as we do right now,
Okay.
if at all.
So potentially a cost saving there, big
Yes.
picture. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And then there's that fee schedule piece too that Mike had referred to, that other municipalities that he works in has, that I'm very interested in looking into and incorporating into what we're doing here.
All right, any other questions or comments?
I'm trying to remember, did they have anything capital that we talk about?
$235, I think.
PCs.
Yeah. Which page are we looking at? 235 or?
I was looking at
212 and capital, we've got some PC services, replacements there. That's nice.
I know that we're still trying to get our minds wrapped around all the projects that are going on right now. There are some that are not going to be moving forward. I don't know that they're on here per se. 2025 engineering vehicle is on here for budget. And so there's the Putes Pathway is on for 2025. Cascade Trail was a request that we are not going to be funding. The St. Martin's, South 60th, West St. Martin's, and Lovers Lane, West Ryan Road, that will be moving forward. We've got, trying to take it all the way here, 88 curb ramps. That looks like that's moving forward. curb and gutter miscellaneous, that will not be, guardrails will not be. The street program, obviously, we are moving forward with that. We are in the middle of those programs, and I think Kevin could probably speak a little bit more to those better than I can, the street programs for 2025.
Is that, Alderman Day, is that what you were looking for answers on?
Yeah, I was just looking to see if there was something that anybody knew that wasn't funded, that somebody wanted to plead their case for why we should consider funding it. That was my
Okay.
question.
No, that's
There
kind of
was-
want to go into.
if there was anything that, either
No.
Kevin or Kelly wanted to speak to that wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to the Cascade Trail piece. So Cascade Trail is a project that has kind of developed over, I would say, probably a couple of years, that you are obviously aware of because it impacts your area. It's to create connectivity. The issues that we are seeing and some of the intrepidation of it is that it would require us to have a service agreement, a long-term service agreement with the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County. And we don't have it in our budget to put that trail through. And I had suggested that maybe we start looking at what streets that are, or even just land that's city-owned, City of Franklin owned, where we can make those connectivities and not have to be beholden to any kind of agreement with the county or City of Milwaukee. I think that's in our best interest.
I agree.
All right, comments there. Engineering, hearing no more, let's move on to.
Actually, I can speak to a couple of challenges of engineering that will be fiscally impacting, and we will have to deal with as a council very soon. And that is, there are some projects on here that are actually in the works, Water Tower Park and also Loomis Pathway, where we were supposed to send out notices and have a public hearing for special assessments. That has not occurred, so we need to do that. All the funding that was determined for those two projects took into consideration those special assessments. And I believe there's 39 parcels on Water Tower Park on that piece, whatever it covers, right? And then Loomis Pathway, I don't know the parcel amounts, but I do know it equates to $250,000. So
That's a big deal.
Well,
This is a huge thing.
I think the 39 parcels is going to be huge too. So Mike, Kevin, Danielle, and myself are going to be sitting down to really talk about and iron out what does this mean. We're still going to be bringing it to public hearing and to the council. Council's already approved these projects with special assessments, so we're going to have to continue to move forward with that. And frankly, we don't have the ability to afford all of it without that anyway. And the DPW expansion, says I'm throwing bad news out here. The DPW expansion project had $7,000 for a $3 million project of contingency set aside. So that is a huge problem. We need to have at least 10% of that $3 million for the project for contingencies, because we understand that things are not going to go right. And then there was, what did we guesstimate, about $150,000 to $200,000 worth of work that engineering had estimated that DPW could do. This consists of retention ponds, berms, and grading. We don't have the equipment, nor do we have the manpower to do that.
For that project.
DPW. The other piece of it is the alternate route took precedent over the actual primary route that we need. So South 80th Street, we are in the process of pushing for a bid that needs to be bidded out yet and awarded. An alternate route that is completely unfeasible had been bid out and awarded. And the DPW expansion, the building part is underway. So we've got phase 2 happening before phase 1. We don't have enough money, and we're trying to get ahead of that. That's some of the challenges that we're taking. And obviously that impacts the budget.
What will be the timeline for special assessment? Items we're talking about.
Yeah, so we talked about that at today's staff meeting, 10 a.m. today. We talked about that, and we have to gather up the information. I know that one of the engineer technicians had provided to Daniel the impact for, I can't remember which one. I think it was the Water Tower Park one, or was it the Loomis Pathway? Loomis Pathway. So she has those numbers. That's how I know there's $250,000 of impact there. The one for Water Tower Park, the staff will be working on obtaining, and we will be working with, I believe it's the clerk's office that ends up issuing those public notices for engineering. So we'll be working with them to get that in the works.
All right.
Sorry about that blow, but
Are you satisfied for right now on that? Because
Oh, yeah.
it's gonna be going to
I was
council. There's gonna
wrapping my brain around that for a few days.
right. It's gonna go to council. This is gonna be all brought to council. So
Yeah,
New
I'm-
unsettling information.
I will be working on trying to provide at least some sort of a engineering report for council. I don't know how much will be in the council action sheet, but I will be trying to bring forth all the projects that we are aware of and where we are with them and the challenges, and then I guess I'll try to provide some recommendations to meet those challenges. But I think for the most part, it's going to be very difficult to have those recommendations, because I mean, it all comes down to making more money. And actually, the Water Tower Park thing, there were people that were surveyed. They wanted to connect. And there was about 3 on each contract, A and C, that were interested. Nobody got back to them. A is done, and C, we can't include them. It's, yeah, lots of challenges moving forward.
Anything else there? Engineering or otherwise, let's move on to highway. 119, I believe. Budget book.
Want me to jump in on anything?
We're going to start, I can start at the operating, I don't have a book like you folks, so I can start at the operating budget. Try and discuss what differences I feel we need. Under the general operating budget for DPW, there was a few items that I had requested more. One was the overtime. We're running right now right at what our budgeted numbers are, but every year we're increasing plow services and weekend services, so I asked for additional there. Another one was the telephone, which is also our GPS and internet service. I asked for an increase there. That was cut. The other ones are basically related to the new building coming on board, which would be the water, electricity, sewer, natural gas, building maintenance. We're going to be powering up the new building. We're going to be heating it for gas. We're going to have maintenance to go with it. So that's why I asked for an increase in those items. Those were all cut back. Another one on the next, can I just keep going on operating budget? Okay, next one is street lighting. Ask for an increase on the maintenance services and the electricity.
Explain why.
Yeah. First one for the maintenance is stop and go lights going in at 51st at a high school. There's going to be issues down there, and also there's going to be an electricity increase. Also, for electricity is new street lights going up on Highway 100, come out of Hills Corners and come into Franklin. So we're going to have a sizable increase in our electricity bill there for street lights. That's the two reasons I asked for increases on both of those line items, maintenance and electricity.
And we have an agreement that we were entered into, correct? To pay for street lights that we normally hadn't be releasing, is it? And also for the, obviously, energy costs.
Well, the city entered into an agreement that we would pay a percentage of the maintenance costs on certain intersection lights, stop and go lights, even though they're county. We are in an agreement that we pay a percentage, and started seeing over the last about a year and a half, we're starting to see invoices from the county, which I hadn't budgeted for before, and so now I'm asking. That was part of the that we're seeing. It's not a lot. It's only like 2,500, 3,000. It's not crazy, but still, every time one of them gets damaged, something happens to vandalism, we're getting hacked or charged.
Thank you.
But the big one is the High 100 streetlights. It's going to go on probably December. We'll have them all of them. Then in the parks, ask for an increase in the parks maintenance because we're seeing more and more vandalism, more and more use in the parks. Things are wearing out, and it's just that account covers all of that. So that's all I had in the operating budget. In the capital,
Back to 211.
I don't have a page.
Sorry.
211, yes.
Do you want to look at mine?
No, I mean, I can just name them off and then. We're in the capital for the highway under building and construction improvements. I did ask for actually $105,000. That was a split between getting a security system, cameras in, and additional fencing. Reason being, we've been getting vandalized more and more down at the DPW. I've had the last month, I had 3 incidents where we attempted to do things to our fuel island and one of our garages in the back. So that's why I asked for that. And then the last ones for the capital is the overall equipment that I asked for, which I understand it's a large amount, and I totally understand it, but as a lot of our equipment is aging out and just isn't there. I am cutting back on some services because of the equipment. Street sweeping, we used to do it twice a year throughout the whole city, and spot do it throughout the rest of the year. I eliminated the spring and fall entire cities because our equipment is breaking down. So well, I did see that one of them I had requested 2. One of them didn't make the budget. Probably a very important one because that's a service that everybody likes. There was other pieces in there, quite a few actually, that were cut. They obviously are all very important to us, but I totally understand our budget. Road program, 2.34. I just want to say I think that's a good amount. anything more than that, we, as a department, we just can't keep up, because we do a lot of it in-house. We just, I think that's a great amount. I wouldn't ask for any more, down anymore, but I think that's a great. That's all I have, Mr.
Anyway, in DPW, any more comments, questions?
I have one.
Sure. Yes.
So on the Capitol, you had like a traffic arrow board? What is that
It's
for?
a message board that you put up ahead of time, construction zone. It's more of a safety feature. Like, I have one right now.
Yeah.
I wanted the second one so that we could get traffic in both directions. You know, it's truly a safety thing. Traffic does not slow down. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. So, engineering and highway we talked about street lighting. Are we starting? I know when we talked a couple years ago to change to LED, are we starting to see some of that savings, utilities coming back to us?
So the streetlights we had, they were the lowest bulb. So the LED cost that we're going. So basically,
Okay.
but had we increased bulb lights,
Solid waste, I think, is 180. That's next. That's the outside contract. If you have anything there. Comment or make note of?
Do you have any comments about self?
that's more of a fixed contract.
And service has been adequate, I'm presuming, not a lot of complaints?
Yeah. Good job.
What do we have next?
Sanitary sewer.
Sanitary sewer, 201.
He's like, no.
Absolutely, come up.
Don't want to.
Please. Mr. Beardsley, good evening, welcome.
Thank you.
Answer any questions you have. I think just had a brief conversation with James before we started and made some alterations. As far as
I'll hit the technology parts when we talk about this.
Thank you.
There was some stuff that should have been added for water and technology that wasn't.
Staffing hasn't changed since.
Since forever.
And the biggest thing is it's split everything. Labor, a lot of supplies are split. Sewer budget.
And that's the same way it looks like with the staffing as well. So water. Water each.
Right.
Anybody questions or comments? Or sanitary sewer and water?
I'd say the water is not in here because it was not ready in time. But it's also, much like library, it's its own budget.
overseen by its own board.
Those rates are usually reset, so look at what
The water rates? Yeah, but the PSC is a whole process, but yeah.
And there's no foreseeable future of changing them.
No.
MMSD is sewer fee, but yeah, water rate. That would go.
Right.
Which should not be anytime soon under our new contract.
Any other questions? Comments? Seeing none, hearing none?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. That was easy.
Good flow.
Pun intended.
Yes, what do we have next? Mayor's.
38, page 38.
Back.
So you ready for my presentation?
Go for it.
There is no PowerPoint tonight. I know. So basically, you'll see a little bit of a change where there's a reduction. There's one thing that's not on here that I'm going to talk to our finance director about. But there was a reduction. If you see under like recognitions from last year was $5,000, and now it's down to $1,500. That extra $3,500 is to be brought back in because there's a governmental project that we're going out here, and I was going to use that, which will be going through, which is going to be an Eagle Scout project, which will be putting out on this wall outside this, out to the right, is going to be the legacy wall, which will have all the mayors that served the city of Franklin since its inception in 1956. And there's 13. And there's an Eagle Scout, a local, obviously a local young man, and whose family, ironically, just happens to live in Gordy Stark, his house, who was a mayor and alderman in the city of Franklin on North Cape Road. And as Jesse will attest, Gordy Stark was also a not only former mayor, but war hero and battled the Bulge and all that stuff, and it was a big deal. And when I was campaigning and I knocked on their door, I told them a little story about that, and they just took it and ran with it, and they're really like digging into what that gentleman did as alderman and as mayor, and approached me with an Eagle Scout project, and I said I liked it. So there's a lot of that's groundwork going into it. But his Eagle Scout project has been approved by the board that reviews how this works. So that money was, as far as they're going to redo the wall, he's going to have a different, like a painting scheme, and he's really doing a lot of work. He's compared it to other municipalities that have the exact same thing, and kind of cherry picking what he believes would be a great look now, with spaces for the future and how it would kind of integrate. Bright young man. So that extra couple $1,000s should have remained in here for that project. So that's the only thing that I'm not seeing in here, and I talked to her about that. So that was clear that was going to be money that was going to be bringing forth. So this young man does all the legwork, but is not going to suffer any out-of-pocket expense to complete this Eagle Scout project. So I don't know if that has to be an amendment coming through. Right. If that's got to be an amendment, if not, but that's when you do see, and I'll handle this with Daniel, whether that's got to either be a note to this by the time it goes to council, but when you do see that fixed, but that was it. Other than that, I think she stole the money that I wanted for, like Shirley got money for a chair. I wanted 2 chairs, I just wanted 1. Because every 1988 called and want that chair back. There's a tag on it. So, but that was Other than that, there's zero change.
Question, yes.
It's really not about the budget, so I'm sorry, but about the Eagle Scout project. Is there any possibility that gentleman would be willing to update Wikipedia as well with the same information? All it is a matter you type it in and.
Well, he's very savvy. I mean, when he made this little, I mean, I'm sure we could do that. And he's very.
There's no money involved in it. It's just submit it.
I think the point can be brought with him. I don't see a problem with it. I mean, I know I directed him to the city attorney for some historical data for some things, and the 2 books we had that are about the city's history has all the mayors listed in there.
Yeah.
It's just about trying to get some photos and some families that may be able to provide. I mean, there's a lot about Phaedro. I mean, there's Phaedro pictures everywhere, and there's a great one that might be copied that's in the library. That might be of him and pay his homage, and Fred Clements. He's got some good stuff out there too. So there's some mayor photos that we have that are there, but he's going to have to do the research to try to get something, but he's doing a real good job. I mean, he's really excited about it, especially that he lives in a former mayor's house, and he just really he's really into it. So
Seems like an amazing project. When I looked online, I didn't see the history component.
Right, yeah, no, you're right, it's
and
not
that's
there.
what I was.
And Wikipedia, anybody can update,
Yeah.
so it'd be nice to lend that knowledge to Wikipedia.
I will definitely approach him with that.
Thank you.
On my understanding with the Eagle Scout projects, they fundraise or have that included as part of their, I think, request when they project.
Yes.
Well,
And the project work like they're going to be, and I'm going to be working with Kevin Schleter on this to do a little oversight.
Did you know?
Well, we're not there yet. I mean, I just literally this week saw what his deals are because this wall out here is going to have a color change and, this texture, he wants to, there's some things he wants to do. And Kevin's not going to do the work. These Eagle Scouts, and he also has other ones in his scout troop that will help him as part of how this all gets done. And then when the fire alarm mechanism gets deactivated, they'll be on fire watch. So they have a fire watch component. It's a whole big thing. I mean, this is going to be very neat.
All right, anything else as it relates to the budget for mayoral? Straightforward. Hearing none, let's move on to municipal court.
Judge, welcome.
Hello.
Oh,
Hi.
How's everybody doing?
good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. This is my first time, so bear with me. I've never done a budget before for anyone other than my own office. So, do you guys have any information that was submitted, such as the budget report for the city of Franklin? Do you have that?
What page are we on for the?
It
Give me
would be
this, that
40.
looks like this.
40. The description.
It's got a description with a
Right.
detail of everything, what the recommendation is, and what the request is.
Yep.
Does everybody? Excellent. Okay, good. So, do you want me to just go through the budget? How do you guys want to do this? Do you have
It's
questions?
up to the chair, so the chair will kind of lead this.
Yes.
Okay.
Typically, if you have changes or specific newbies or whatever, if it's just a carryover of the same, we don't necessarily have to go line by line, if you will.
Sure.
Just the highlights, if you will. And if you've got something you want to plead for that should be in there that isn't in there, obviously
Sure.
now's the time.
Okay. So, are you going to start, or do you want me to start?
Nope,
Okay.
your floor.
All right, so the first line item that we have is other professional services. Right now, the mayoral recommended budget is $1,900. So we increased that to $2,200, and the reason for that is we have and this is being actually brought to us by, I guess, higher ups. There's a language line that we are going to be now obligated to do. So basically what that means is this. We have a lot of people that come through the courtroom that do not speak English. And it has become kind of this, and I went to the conference this year, and it was brought up, it was a hot topic, because we've got people from all different walks of life. The most common, of course, is Spanish. And thank God we've got Ed Borda, who speaks Spanish. He's our city prosecutor, you know that. But Ed can't be in the courtroom to discuss the final stipulated agreements and so forth. So now we're being encouraged, and we have actually a request for Common Council action. And I believe that we're on the agenda for 10-1 for that at the 6:30 meeting. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor. Or Kelly.
We don't see the agenda until Friday.
Oh, okay. So we should be on that agenda. It is basically a request for approval so that I can sign the language line contract. It is, so just so you get an idea, it's billed at 72 cents per minute. So what happens is I'm sitting up there in the courtroom, the defendants, you know, whatever you want to call them, civil plaintiffs, whatever, they come up, and then if they don't speak English and they're requesting for a Spanish interpreter, we call the line. It's a line service that's available to all the municipal courts, and then they charge us by the minute. So it's 72 cents a minute. Now this is totally separate from having someone coming into the courtroom to testify or to act as an interpreter for a trial. This is just your day-to-day, somebody coming in, pleading their case out, and then us going through it and just saying, okay, we're going to call language line. So that's, yes.
May I ask, is the 72 cents a minute just for the Spanish, or?
It's for any language.
Perfect.
Yeah, they will do any language. Someone just came through that's Arabic. That was the one thing, and nobody in the courtroom spoke Arabic, so we were like, hey, we're giving you a new court date. You know, so that person was a little upset because they had to take another day off, and then it became, you know, that issue of, hey, we got to rectify this. We've got to fix this. You know, the law says you may have a language interpreter. However, now what's happening kind of on a state level is they're trying to change that. So I think it's important that we get a step ahead of it, because it is a change. It is something that the municipal courts are going to be required to do, is have an interpreter. So that's something that we have there, and that's why we have the budget at $2,200. We don't anticipate that this will go beyond $300. I mean, if it does go over, you know, it's really beyond our control. We just don't know how many people are going to be requesting this service. Yes.
Just a follow-up question. I'm familiar with these types of services. I've used them quite a bit
Okay.
I have a medical background, and so we've used it quite a bit for that kind of care. Do you know, is this something that's specific to the courtroom? Like, we calling, have knowledge of, you know, the jargon of a courtroom that...
You know, that's a really good question. I don't think that they differentiate between...
Okay. So it's just
yeah,
the generalized
I think it's just a generalized language line, I think. I mean, I never looked up Language Line Services Incorporated, so I guess that's something that I'll do for the Common Council meeting and see if they're just specifically laser focused on that.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know every case that comes before you, but you know, some people's interpretation or their knowledge of the legal system is, you know, varied, you know, per person. So I imagine that would be the same for the interpreters too. So I don't know if there's a way when we would call them and say, you know, this is for, you know, a court proceeding, if then when they look through their, you know, catalog, or if there's a way that we could just indicate on our end when we're calling that this is for, you know, municipal court or something like that.
That's actually a great tip.
We would do that for the health department and just say, you know, this is a medical situation.
Right. So maybe they'll assign someone that's familiar with the legal jargon. Yeah. That is a good tip. So I will incorporate that, you know, once we have to start using this service. So thank you.
Does this have to be set up in advance or reserved, or is it just?
So we have a contract that we have to sign. The contract, we've submitted this to the Common Council. It's a master service agreement that we are required to sign. There's a statement of work that we are required to sign, and I believe they have some other services here, and these are just like, extras. And, I really haven't gotten into the weeds on this, but I just know that all languages, whether it's Spanish, Chinese, French, Japanese, Korean, Russian, Vietnamese, the list goes on, it says 72 cents. Now, everything else looks to be waived on the statement of work, but it does have like extra phone interpreting equipment purchases if we wanted to do anything like that, which we don't intend on doing. We're just going to call the language line, use the service. When we're done, hang up, and hang up quick. That way we're not, using up 10 minutes of time at 72 cents,
Do we have this, or is the need anywhere else in the city?
I believe the health department, well, I don't know if they still have the contract. We had the contract in the health department during COVID when we had to do so much calling and be able to do those interviews right away. I don't know if it still exists, if you can piggyback on it, if that was where you were going with that
Yeah,
question.
kind
I'm
of.
not
It's
sure.
like, this probably is not a new.
No, the PD uses it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Fire department, paramedics, I've seen.
The courthouse in Milwaukee 100% uses this.
And that's
So this is what they rely on. But the courthouse does have a budget, ironically enough, for Spanish interpreters. So a lot of times the attorney is waiting for the Spanish interpreter to come in because judges get irritated with the lag in the time that it takes to do the interpretation. There's background noise and so forth. So Milwaukee is a little bit different, but I know that they have in the municipal courts used this service.
Okay.
Okay, so that's line item number 1. Does anyone have any questions before we move on? Okay, the next thing is software maintenance. We're up to $12,500. The amount that we have here listed is $12,000, and this is a fixed expense. There's really not much we can do here. If you look at the fixed expense for software maintenance, TIPS Court software is at this last year was at $12,500. So that was a fixed expense. That's what we use to look up defendants in the system. So we have no control over that. So that's why we just wanted a more accurate figure, so it doesn't look as though we went over budget. It is $12,500, and more than likely it's going to go up again. So it seems to be the trend now with, so we did get, so I'm just looking at, this is the bill, and if anybody wants to see this, this is the TIPS Court software, and if you want to just pass this around so everybody can see this, it's $12,500. That was what we had paid in June. So you can see that.
Not going to doubt you, Judge.
Yeah, we don't need that.
I know, but you know what?
If you
People
would have said
wanna see-
Exhibit A, I'd start laughing.
Yeah, that's Exhibit A. That's Exhibit 1.
We're good.
I've got multiple exhibits.
I'm sure
ready.
you do.
Okay. All right.
Do you also have witnesses?
Yes, I do.
Are they credible?
All right. So that's that. So we're asking for $12,500 respectfully for that as well.
All right.
All right.
No.
Then we've got sundry contractors. So this is kind of a sore subject. The carpet in the courtroom has not been changed since, first of all, from the day that it was put in, which was 2001. Okay? There's a dire need for carpet, new carpet. The space, if you look at the line item, and I'm just going to skip for a minute to what the request is. This is brand new, and it is a substantial sum of money. It's $25,000. This isn't, play money. Do we anticipate it being that high? Probably not, but we don't know at this point. We have made a request for 25. We do have a couple of quotes. The lowest quote that we got was from G&G Installations in Franksville, and the carpet quote is for $17,773.20. Now, this proposal was drafted on June 7th. Another carpet quote that we got was $26,031.46, and this is from DE Floor Coverings. A third quote that we got was from BSI, and that one is a whopping $32,000. So you can only imagine, we've got some really heavy-duty quotes, and then we've got the I think this is a small company in Franksville. It's called G&G Installations. They're at $17,773. Okay.
Kelly has a question. Hold on.
Well, I just wanted to speak to this. I know that this is a sore subject. This is something that we allocated $35,000 to last year, and it was supposed to be covered in with new office equipment or desks or what have you, and that the invoice actually indicated carpeting as well. So I don't know what happened last year between the $35,000 that was allocated towards that, and then this year with the request of $25,000. I also know that there are numerous departments here who haven't had their carpet cleaned since it was put in.
Ours too.
Yeah.
And that's what the sundry item is for.
We have low carpet.
So I do have to say, okay, a couple of things that I wanted to address. And I understand you guys now are, tightening the screws a little bit. I understand. But this place is a multi-purpose center, okay? It's not just for the courtroom on Wednesdays. And mind you, I had 80 people traipsing through, 80 people on just Wednesday alone in the morning. That was the court calendar for the morning. There's a lot of feet walking in that courtroom, okay? That's just on Wednesday. So that's a multi-purpose room. It's used for voting. It's used by the Franklin Police Department for different trainings that they do and whatnot. It's also used for ceremonies and retirement parties. So, and it's also used for weddings. That's something that I want to start, doing in Franklin. I think it would be really nice, to offer weddings. So if we're going to be having people getting married in this courtroom, we want something nice, right? We don't want a taped up and duct taped and lifting carpet, right? And it's not just about the weddings, guys. It's ceremonies. It's retirement parties. It's a lot of things. Swear-ins. I mean, it is an important, to me, it is the center of, where it all happens. Voting is the other one. That's where the voting is going to happen in November. So I just want you guys to think about that. It's ripping in multiple places. I have pictures. So I can share my pictures as Exhibit 2.
Exhibit B.
Judge, if I could ask you then, Alderwoman D's got something. There's no question there's a need. Okay? No question. I've been in there numerous times. I understand what's going on. I understand the need. But to Director of Administration's point is we've got to get to the bottom of where this money went last year.
Okay.
And
so
what was paid on it, because it does say carpeting. And then if it wasn't carpeting, then it was all $35,000 get paid out?
Almost.
Let me share with you, and you guys can take a peek at what it was.
Well, just tell us.
Okay, so the court, it was just the office that was replaced. The office part of the courtroom. It wasn't the courtroom, it's the office side, okay? The court office. So what was done was, and I'll go over the figures, the entire project was $34,712.04, okay? The breakdown for the partitions, the office furniture, was $16,630.29. The flooring and the electrical for the office was $15,836. And the painting was, it looks like $2,870, okay, for painting. So that is the breakdown of what it costs to repair and upgrade the office, which was in, I guess, Need, I wasn't here at the time, this has Fred's signature, Fred Clements, okay? So the one thing that I wanted to bring to your attention was, even as late as 2018, we had what's known as prison boarding, okay? As part of our budget, that was an allocated amount, okay? And that's been eliminated. Well, let me go over the figures. In 2014, we spent $36,153 for prison boarding. So if you didn't pay your fine, what happened and if they didn't come to the indigency hearing for non-traffic issues, they would have jail time. And in lieu of jail time, like they would get the jail time, and in lieu of that, they didn't have to pay their fines, okay? So in 2015, it cost us $38,919. In 2016, it was $41,269. In 2017, it was $55,820. In 2018, not me, but Fred, I guess they started using what's known as SDC. So that's tax intercept. Instead of imprisoning people who didn't pay their fines, that's what we did. So just so you guys can get an idea of how much we've been able to collect from SDC, $1,142,174 from 2018 when we stopped and put a kibosh on the prison boarding and said, we're going to go the SDC route. That's how much Franklin was able to collect. Of course, we didn't keep that entire portion, but we did keep a fair amount. Okay, so obviously the state took some, everybody has to take their share out of this. And the courtroom generated out of SDC money, forfeitures, and whatever we did, from 2019 to present, it's been $2.2 million. That's how much the courtroom has generated. So that is something that we're not doing anymore. We're not doing prison boarding. So in lieu of that, I want you guys to understand our budget is tiny. And I don't think it's a big ask to ask for new carpeting in the courtroom.
But if I can ask, so if you could verify that what that lowest bid is, and is it the high quality? Is it the stuff that's going to last for a long time? You know, not that it's the cheap stuff and you went to some discount carpet place and the guy's going to put it in, it's going to look terrible and not going to last. Because I mean, I know there's I'm just saying, I mean, there's obviously a huge difference between the low bid and the high bid.
I understand.
There's got to be something that's triggering that. And I guess I'm looking at it like this is hopefully that next time somebody comes back here, it's, 15 years, 20 years down the road, and it gets cleaned annually and all that kind of stuff. Just so you know when you're coming forth with something like this. And if we are, because I do have everybody here, I believe I can speak for everybody else, but just me appreciate what's going on in that building and why it's a real thing. But that's what I would look at, not just the type. I mean, to make sure the type is really good.
Well, again, I am not a carpet expert, so, and I'm not in construction, so I would have to use whoever experts are available in this room that would like to maybe, nudge or give me some assistance as to where a qualified carpet company exists that has good carpet.
Judge, the company might be just fine. I'm just saying the quality of the product.
Yeah.
You want to be able to see that, feel it, touch it. Is there a warranty? Is it guaranteed for X amount of years?
Gotcha.
Are they now the high traffic squares? Is everybody's putting in
Good
high
point.
traffic squares? I got lots of good points.
I mean, I really like that.
Counselor, what?
That fake wood is cute. I think that would be nicer. What do they call that?
Vinyl luxury
plank?
vinyl plank.
Yeah, but there's liability there, right?
We don't have any slipping.
Yeah, we don't want slipping.
Straight up slippage.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. We're asking for you guys to look at this with an open mind, and give us some approval here for some carpeting that looks decent. And the sundry expense is part of that carpet cleaning once a year. So that's that $950 figure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Office supplies, that's the next thing. Obviously, everything's gone up, inflation. We're asking for 1,500 instead of 1,000. The membership dues for us to attend, for me, I guess they're membership dues. These are fixed costs. This is fixed at $275, so there's nothing we can do for membership dues. The conferences and the schooling has also gone up. There's nothing we can do there. That's $2,200. And then the last line item was computer equipment, which is the same. So really, all in all, you know, some of these other expenses are minute compared to the big whopping, you know, expense for the carpeting, but we're asking you to consider, keep an open mind, and give us an opportunity to get that carpet replaced. Any questions?
Anyone else? Just before. Kelly, don't we have carpet cleaning and so forth and some of that in municipal buildings?
No, I mean, I can tell you right now, Joe has gone to get quotes for cleaning engineering, because engineering's carpets, we don't know when, to be perfectly frank, I don't know that any of the carpets in this building have ever been cleaned. And this building's clearly a lot older. I know that just even polishing, cleaning and polishing the floor was, what was the price for that, Joe? Do you remember, like approximately several thousand? Okay. Cleaning carpets was like a couple thousand. And that was for engineering.
It just seems like it's redundant to have every single budget department trying to figure out how to clean the carpet. I mean, it's not your expertise, nor where we have to have it going citywide and rotate it once a year, area, you know, depending winter, summer, whatever. I mean, it's like an opportunity to do that more efficiently.
I agree.
Because I have all the busted downstairs.
So that's where the storage is when they leave, huh?
eBay.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of hard surfaces.
Okay.
Well, then we contract out services for the cleaning. Now, at one point, I think we did it in-house, and I can tell you, I don't even get my carpets vacuumed.
All right, anything else for the judge? Municipal court related? Anything else you want to share?
I don't have anything further. I'm just asking kindly if you would consider new carpeting. That's, and then all the other increases that are fixed.
Well noted. Anyone else? All right, thank you much.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Looks like next is
I think, right? No, IT.
The historic
information
because
service.
they have the town there.
I know, I'm getting excited here.
And then
And actually, I want to note too, on our website and everywhere else, it's considered information technologies. I changed it to out, and I missed this document, so just want to let you know that for continuity's sake.
All right. Kelly gets to get the red pen out now. I did notice some mistakes, which is not unusual, but it gets a little more complicated this year in previous years. One, because we are doing a lot more of turning around and doing cost-based accounting for it, and doing chargebacks of the actual departments.
Thank you. Thank you.
To their actual costs. Do you want to start with CapEx or OpEx first?
Operations first.
OpEx. All right. out of the personnel costs, I'm pleased to say that for once, we're actually 100% staffed. That, and we are not using consultants over the course of years that we've had before with HBS, which has attributed to some pretty good sizable budget decreases over the course of years that we have fortunately been able to take money that would have been spent in personnel and staffing costs, and it's then now being put into software subscriptions, other services, etc. for it. I do want to make sure, Kelly, that Ryan's increase that was just approved by the Common Council, going from $28.20 an hour to $33.53 an hour, is actually now computed in this. I think this was probably computed before the actual raise itself.
Yep, predates that.
That being said, we have now lowered our data processing services for project work from basically what we had starting with HBS, about $30,000 a year. That was basically approved for it. We projected at 50, but it looks like we're easily coming in under that amount. GIS services, their rate is pretty much going to be staying the same. We give them a little bit of a bump each and every single year. These are two consultants that we've had forever. It's a private company owned by Todd Niedermeyer, and we want to make sure that at least we're keeping up with what we get for salary raise. We also are getting for our permanent GIS support office here as well. Equipment maintenance is pretty much flat. There's like a $50 charge that we reduced off of printers. Software maintenance is the first big one that we have. This was a big problem here. The total amount, if I turn around and calculated all of our software maintenance, is $99,283, which is what was submitted. When Danielle entered this in, she went off to the side and she put in 101,700. That's what we would be spending for our Office 365 licenses. We started Office 365 starting this month, and it's on G3 is our tier for it. We are getting a government tier, and that is now going to be running all of our email. So in order to turn around and eliminate email being hosted here at the City of Franklin, Common Council has agreed to turn around and go with an Office 365 agreement. Will get us other services as well, for example, OneDrive and SharePoint with it. But that can't be held on site anymore. It's an Exchange 2010 server, and when we look at our external penetration test, it is the greatest threat right now externally that we have to the city. So we have, for the last 14 years, gotten a great deal of having email being completely and totally free, and email archiving being completely and totally free, and that day is not now changing. Realizing there's an overage right now of $101,700. That's what we will be paying from this point out on our Office 365 licenses. You can, even though we're paying this year in 2024, the entire amount, which will cover us from September of 2024 to September of 2025, we could go in September to a monthly payment on it. So then all we'd really need to do to cover that amount would be September, October, November, December. And then it becomes a 2026 issue. If we want to continue doing the monthly payments on that versus turning around and doing a regular payment. But she did not include any of that. And if she wants to break it down by a per department basis and do cost-based accounting, we can easily do that, or we can keep it as an enterprise service. That was missed. Sundry contractors.
How many licenses?
250 licenses.
250.
Yep. And in case those are curious, Office 365 G3, 250 licenses. It's $23 a month. Enterprise Mobility plus Security, which is also the Defender, that's $9.70. and then we estimate 200 gigabytes of backup, 2,000 gigabytes of backup at 15 cents a gigabyte, so that's $300. So the total fees that we will be paying on a monthly basis is $8,475 per month for Office 365. We also are the last municipality in all of Milwaukee County going to Office 365. So we have gotten a good amount of value from our old
That
Exchange
includes
server.
all our Excel, Word,
It includes all of the Office suite, yes.
that we were not paying any license.
Nope, we
For that
were paying a perpetual license. So it's basically you buy the license and you own it. I've been doing that for years now. I'm cheap. And I buy it and I own it, and now they're getting rid of ownership licenses where now
That's correct.
everyone has to have a subscription, and that's the only way they sell it.
Correct. Yeah. So we don't own any of those.
Right, we won't, that isn't all of Office is included in the subscription, yes. Out of sundry contractors, the big jump that we have this year, everything else, Northwoods, Secure DNS, all the stuff that we turn around and do with SSL, even VMware AirWatch and our KnowBe4 security, which is now required by the auditing firms. The big changes that we actually have here for this year is attributed over to our fiber optic WAN, which went live. We got done with the cabling in February, and we went live now on the fiber optic WAN with WiskNet as our internet service, and that is now live as of June of this year, all on brand new firewalls. So we have annual penetration testing for the new firewalls. That's 26,500. Turnkey fiber locations and Diggers Hotline. I'd love to get this out of IT. It could technically be done by engineering, but we do it in IT because engineering did a rotten job of locations.
We could probably,
I get every single Diggers Hotline request for the city. You will not believe how many requests I get on a daily basis for it. Turnkey, just doing locations for fiber optics is now 26,287, and we have to turn around and spend that. Diggers Hotline itself, we have to pay $1,300. TPX firewall management, that we have now the new firewalls, and a vendor is now turning around and managing our firewalls and making sure that they're secure. I don't have to be at the council anymore and being a firewall expert. That's $85,679. That initially was put into capital. There is going to be some capital money left over on that, which they can reallocate. And then ring clone text archiving is $1,020. So that's how we got to a big jump to $155,381 for this year.
For
The firewall, I mean, that one will continue.
Every single year. We have a 5-year contract with them. It's a $391,000 contract that included equipment and services. That's what it costs to have someone else turn around and maintain and manage and make sure that your firewalls are secure.
That includes the equipment?
Yes, it does include the equipment, yes.
The Diggers Hotline at 26,000. That's
location.
That's what we pay for, and so that's a third-party service that we use to do locating.
Turnkey is our cable installer. They also do location services as well. So I get the Diggers Hotline. They get the Diggers Hotline. If it isn't something that they already flagged, then yes, someone has to go out in a car and then trace where the fiber optic cable is, and then literally put the little signs in. If where they are digging is where we actually have our fiber optic cable.
and we had an issue, a communication issue, if you will, or lack of understanding of how important our fiber optic cable is. So it made sense for Jim at that time to take the Diggers Hotline, the turnkey, and run with that. But yeah, to your point, if there's somebody that can do it in engineering, I think it makes sense to put it back there.
It's right now in IT because I'm the bulldog watching over the fiber optic to make sure that someone doesn't turn around and cut a hole right into this massively expensive fiber optic ring.
Which had happened.
So when you get a Diggers Hotline ticket, are you determining whether we gotta get it marked or not, or is that
No,
going to?
that's the service.
That's the service, so
turnkey
we
that determines.
pay that, every single one of those goes there and they figure out if they gotta mark it.
They have our as-built diagrams, it's actually in CAD.
Okay,
And if the request is within so many feet, we can actually get
Yeah.
tighter on that too. But if it's in so many feet of where they have the as-built request, then someone has to come out there and literally turn around and tag it.
so this is like a flat fee we're paying?
Yes,
26?
this is a flat fee that we turn. This is a total amount that we get maintenance on our fiber optic, where they come out and look at it once a year and actually recertify it and making sure that it's actually being well maintained and cared for. The rest of the money is what they're spending in Digger's Hotline. We're spending about $2,000 a month in the summertime doing nothing but locations. And that's because every 4 inches of concrete in all of Milwaukee County is being torn up right now. And we soon will have the lowering of the fiber optic cable over on 76th and Ryan, where when Cablecom put in the conduit that is actually owned by Waukesha Water Utility for it, they put it in at 3 feet. They didn't put it in at 10 feet.
They also didn't get approval from the
And they
county.
didn't get the permits approved by the DOT, which is even more
Or the
interesting.
DOT, yes.
So now Cablecom is now going to be going out there and basically from the bridge, going all the way down to St. Martin's Road, they're digging all of that up and they're now lowering the entire conduit down by another 7 feet. So that the 10-foot mark on that. And hopefully they don't break our cable, which runs in their conduits and under an MOU in the process. So this is the stuff that when you have your own private fiber ring, that's the stuff that you turn around and run into.
Ask if something were to go wrong, are they then liable for the repairs or?
Yes, but
Okay.
we also have covered emergency response and for the repairs in our maintenance fees as well. And it could get cut anywhere. I mean, that's with all of the DOT work on Ryan, which is just going to be a complete mess at this point. That the chances of it being there is probably the greatest. But it could easily be going up 51st Street. It should turn around going into the high school when we're in the school system's conduit.
Are they doing work on that again? Or?
They're always doing work on it. Especially before they were tearing up the intersection to turn around and put stoplights in, and then it's like, all right, how close are you going to get to our conduit and the school systems? The other one is Forest Avenue as well. They're constantly doing landscaping and work on there. All that fiber is going both for us and everyone going into the ECC for the school district building, and now Waukesha is going to be moving up there and going down that route as well. So there's a lot of fiber optic cable now being routed around Franklin. So that is a big expense coming up in sundry contractors. Office supplies, operating supplies, and equipment supplies all remain the same. Data communication and internet is up from last year because we now have fiber optic backup circuits. So in case the main fiber ring actually gets shredded, we actually have backup links, and we actually successfully tested it. So if we take down the primary fiber ring to WISCnet, our backup is VPN connections that actually go over onto Spectrum. And that actually works. So we actually have flipped it. Some places at PD, City Hall, and Water, we have a fiber link to Spectrum. And at the other offices, we're maintaining a backup coax link. So this is a major change from the original Peggy Steno proposal with the architecture where you just had the fiber ring and there wasn't any backup. We knew there were going to be times where we do have to take the fiber ring down, so we have to be able to communicate on an alternative source.
We also didn't have the
particularly if they cut it.
contract. We also didn't have the contract with, what is it, MCE and WISCnet.
Yeah, we didn't have a contract with MCA for the designing, and then WISCnet to actually provide the ISP services as well.
So that's something we had to pivot with.
Telephone, I had no idea how Danielle came up with $18,400. Now, we went to Ring Central at the end of October. We're going to be cutting over to Ring Central at the police department. We're going to be turning around and converting PD dispatch. That's going to be fun. That's the biggest call center over there right now, and 911 comes in through our PD dispatch, although it's not tied directly to the phone services. But they're going to be soon going over to Ring Central. With this, we were able to cancel a lot of the AT&T contracts, like the AT&T Flex Reach lines that we use to turn around and bring in our channels going into the old Avaya, but then all of the analog lines. The only analog lines we currently are keeping are for those of the fire alarm systems. When you pull the fire alarm, you'll get an analog signal going out to a dispatch center telling them, hey, the fire alarm has just been turned around and pulled in. AT&T is completely and totally getting out of copper. They've already said they're gone. You can't get Centrix, can't get an analog line, grandmother's analog phone, they are not touching it anymore.
Even the fire alarms, you can go with TS.
Yeah, you can't, and Johnson Controls actually has a project for that. So yeah, you can go cellular and wireless instead of going on analog lines for it. So until Johnson Controls gets to that phase of their project on it, we're currently on analog, so we have to kind of remain on analog on it until they convert it all over, and then convert also to a centralized dispatch center for the fire alarm systems on it. So there's a cost reduction in AT&T lines on it, but we do know that the $55,788, this is an error, is normally what we turn around and spend. We spend $4,350 a month times 12. That's how you get the $52,200 off of that, and that's all Ring Central, and that's phone costs for the entire city.
And that's a fixed number, right? That is the number.
Yeah, it's amazing how much on it is tax too.
Okay.
So it's the subscription cost plus the leasing of the phones plus the tax that makes up that particular number.
It will be 55,000.
52,200. So I had radio circuit for the police department of 2,868. Data pool for a small number of cell phones that somehow gets always charged to IT. And then Ring Central is 52,200. So I have 55,788 for telecommunication costs on it.
So this includes the telephone sets?
Yes. It includes the handsets and
So
all the conference phones. So all of that is leased.
So they're all leased throughout?
Yes,
It's
for
not
the
like
entire
you own
city.
them after 3 years.
After 5, we can buy them at the end of 5 years of it if they're still in good shape. We can lease another phone if we want to. The nice thing is if they break it, they have to repair it automatically for free.
It went up from 18,000.
52 to
52.
Right, correct. And then the conferences and schools remains at $1,800. That's OpEx. That's the worst one. CapEx. This is where we like to take a bigger project that begins to it and then assign it to individual departments. The first one we have is IT emergency purchases. Could be either be a computer, it could be a hardware, it could be server drive, could be anything that comes up. It could be a project that no one decided to fund in their project, and then suddenly we need to have money to turn around and fit it in. This year we're putting it at $14,000. We went through all of that last year, at least in 2024. We probably spent the vast majority of it putting in a new fiber extension panel that wasn't planned for between our data center and the electrical room downstairs here within City Hall. Warranty extensions. This actually is for all of our HP servers, tape libraries, but the biggest one is our 3PAR SANs. It's our storage area network. That's $45,987. For whatever reason, they put it in the wrong account. It's in the Department of Administration right now.
So the money's there, it's just in the wrong account and it just has to be moved. I let Danielle know about that. That also pairs in the police department's account. They have a sand and equipment out there. They have $60,878 in their budget. PC replacements, this gets broken down. We will be doing hopefully one tranche of PC orders that we're looking at ordering about November, although I just got wind that the longshoremen are going out on strike again, just like they did in 2020. And that is going to shut down all the seaports on the West Coast and all the seaports in all of the Gulf of Mexico, which means you're going to be having supply chain problems at the yin yang. You can expect food and all the other prices to go up as well. Is product is sitting basically in ships waiting to turn around and come into harbor on it. We might want to turn around and order sooner than later if that strike is going to turn around and happen. But I'm trying to make it in one order so I can get the biggest bang for my buck. The more units I can buy in one swoop, the bigger discount I'm going to get from the actual manufacturer from it. So we got PCs that we're buying in 2024 that we have not bought yet. That's just money sitting in capital budgets right now. And then we have an additional, if you add it up between all the capital hardware, between all the departments, $68,009 is what has been allocated thus far for 2025 for it. That's been all individually allocated for it. Adding 2024, 2025, I'm hoping that they're going to ship in December, give me net 30, and I don't have to pay for it until January. Just means that when the invoice comes in January, hopefully we'll have the capital money in the budget to turn around and pay for it. That is the actual goals. Out of the PC replacements, departments that did not get allocated, and I looked both at 2024 and at 2025 at everyone's money. The only ones that I noticed that were unusual was the public library, that we have individual computers out there for BSNA. They normally do $10,000 a year for just general computer replacements that they're out there out on the floor. I don't know if she's planning on using the BSNA money and using it out of that $10,000 or not, but none of the planned money. I requested $4,020 for the library, and that wasn't added to theirs. And then nothing was put in for the water utility. I believe I requested $11,317, and for whatever reason, Mike Roberts never got it put into the budget for the water utility. Data center switch replacements. So the 1,540 is actually my department's computer replacements for next year. Data center switch replacements. We have a data center. We actually have two of them, one at the City Hall and one at the Police Department. We know that the 3-par SAN is going to be out of warranty and out of support, where you can't get maintenance on it. They will no longer do upgrades on it. And you can't get hardware on it. As of this month, I can no longer turn around and get upgrades for the 3-par SAN. It's going end of life. We will be getting 10 years out of that SAN. It will be slated in my 5-year program budget for those being replaced at City Hall and the Police Department in the 2026 budget. In preparation for the made SAN replacement, we actually have to increase the Ethernet ports to a much higher port speed because it's going to go on Ethernet. Today, it's on Fiber Channel. It's on its own independent network. A Fiber Channel network is called a mesh. And the Fiber Channel mesh does not touch in any way, shape, or form our existing network here that we use for everything else, the Ethernet network. Now, when we retire the 3-par SAN, we're going to be getting rid of the Fiber Channel mesh, and that's going to be put onto our normal, everyday Ethernet network on it. And what that means, I need to have some pretty fast uplink ports to handle the SAN in order to get the latency on it. That Fiber Channel is more efficient than Ethernet. But I hear people think of Tetris, where blocks are coming down. Ethernet, they all come down, they're all randomized. Where Fiber Channel, if they all came down, from the moment they start dropping, all the colors are exactly in order where it needs to be. That's the technology of Fiber Channel on it. It's very, very efficiency, but it's legacy. No one's putting it in anymore beyond the largest companies, and you can't find people that know it. turn around and support it. So we're moving off the fiber channel to Ethernet. With that, we need at least 28 gig uplink ports, preferably 40 gig uplink ports that will then turn around and can connect over to the SAN. That means we have to replace our core switches in the data centers with models that can actually turn around and support that type of speed for it. We don't want to do this in 2026 because that would be putting all the capital in 1 year. So we're splitting it out between 2025 and 2026.
So just one question.
I have the same question.
No, I mean, like, I know, I mean, somewhere I saw that at some point you're planning to go to cloud, but all these investments that we're doing right now, I mean, like, how is that going to work out? Going to cloud in a year?
There's going to be data that we cannot take over to the cloud. There's some areas where we can go to the cloud, but also it's still going to be less expensive turning around and holding a lot of terabytes of data in-house on-prem than going to the cloud. Cloud storage is not cheap. So one of the main reasons why we've kept on the 3-par SAN for as long as we have 56 terabytes today of data out at the police department that can be used to store video. And they store video, and they store video, and they store video, and they store video. And they will export out and have even multiple copies of that video. The cost of me bringing in 56 terabytes of video data and storing it in the cloud is just going to dwarf what we're turning around and looking at here. And then using someone else to do a cloud backup system to back up that kind of data as well. So there's certain data that can easily go to the cloud, like files, but then there's going to be other data that cannot go over to the cloud very, very easily for it, particularly anything of it that would be considered CJIS or HIPAA related. You really got to be careful what you're turning around and putting out there in a cloud that can be potentially intercepted by somebody else. So we always will have a presence. We'll probably be using less terabytes in the future than we are right now. But all they have to do, especially at the police department, is say, hey, guess what? We are now going to be putting body cams on each and every single one of our officers, and we need to collect 90 days worth of video from all the body cams. Our storage needs are just going to go right through the roof if that ever turn around and happen.
The thing I'll say is cloud storage is less expensive in many cases than on-prem. Otherwise, everybody be still doing on-prem. So we should really look at that more. And I will say, like HIPAA and those kind of things, there's GovCloud, there's all kinds of things.
We're going to be going on G3.
Yeah, so I mean, there is a lot of pieces out there. It's a lot of, I mean, obviously I got a tech background. It's a lot of, it is a lot of dollars that you're going to put in. And if you are planning to start moving, the time to move is before you start having to invest again, right? Because if you invest to the point that we were on the last for 10 years, if you put all that money in, that's gone. And when you need to move, you're going to be stuck for a while because you already put all that investment
right.
in. So
that's what my question was.
Yeah.
Like, if you are thinking in the next 2 to 3 years, we should try to think of it moving ahead and thinking of something maybe in a year or two, because this hardware costs.
We do have a hard date
maintenance,
that
and
the old SAN is going to be no longer supported as a 6/2026.
So this is going to continue, like as a year. So sooner than later, if we can look at that whole cloud thing, I mean, I agree. I mean, there will always be on-prem things, but cloud is the term.
And we also, in the long-term pack, we also do not have any form of disaster recovery site either. That is also another major issue that we have. So we realize not only are we going to have to turn around and start moving off of some of the on-prem systems, we're going to also start building out redundant systems, and those redundant systems most likely will be in the cloud.
And then the firewall thing that you talked about, that's you see on-prem a lot of money. Go to the cloud, I mean,
you always need firewalls on-prem.
A little bit. I mean, again, that's a separate discussion, but I'm just saying that, yeah, I mean, I think I see that most of the equipment is already obsolete and you need support, you need more. I agree.
Two FAA tokens, that's actually going to be covered in this year, so we don't need to turn around and cover it for next year. And then document management system, instead of turning around and putting in $21,000 to do more document management, they're going to start, we're delaying it by 1 year, and we're going to start doing more of the document management system. If we do not even change it and go to SharePoint, the document management system instead of Square 9, that's going to be hitting it starting in 2026 and then moving further out in 2027 in the capital plans.
Just one, I mean, on that Office 365, SharePoint is not included.
No, SharePoint
is included, so that
SharePoint
comes
is,
with
yes.
SharePoint.
On
How we
G3,
could
yes,
use
it is included, yes.
So,
no one knows how to use it, but it is included.
but that's some of the document management things we could
Yes.
slowly start migrating.
Yes.
I've used SharePoint before in my former life.
And it's really
It's a little heavy on administration and having a person turning around and designing it and
Oh, yeah.
administering it.
I haven't designed anything about it. Not in my spare time.
Other things that are in other departments' budgets right now, we have $4,135 for our fire department for the replacement of their Generation 6 iPads, $690 for the water replacement iPads that do have some money in this year. One item that was not put in the budget that Mike Roberts said that he was going to put in was a new VMware server replacement for $13,104. They may be able to get another year off of it for it, but minimally they're going to have to turn around and update the OS for it. They'll have to do an in-place update on that. And that is capital.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, is my computer in 2024 or what?
The nice thing is I now have Nathan to turn around and build over 200 machines and deploy them all.
we don't lease them, right? We own them.
We own them, yeah. We normally do a 5-year life cycle on them, if I can, at least on the desktops, where I can get them with a 5-year warranty. Normally, the 5-year warranty for the state is pretty cheap. At least it has been when we did it with for HP for it. So I can get on-site support to turn around and replace it for about $35 for 5 years. That's pretty well no-brainer. Even though this will probably be the last PC refresh we have. We'll probably be looking at VDI or tablets or something else like that when we turn around and do the next round.
Thank you.
All right,
Go sit there or just stay here?
stay right there.
Okay.
Page 57.
Yes.
Admin and HR.
No changes in our staffing. I can essentially say that any of the changes in the request that we had for operating budget was due to seeing the changes in real time. There's some areas where we have reached our limit, and for example, trying to find it, the piece that employment testing and education, that one we have overspent this year. As we overspent in 2023. I believe we are, I want to say that we are not where we need to be at for this year. And so we did ask for a little bit of space in that. For the most part, the requests had stayed relatively the same. I see that our postage, which was 64 for this, well, activity 64,000 for this year. So we requested 65 and got put to 44.1. Sundry, there's a reduction in what we requested for medical services. Basically, we're not any different than any other of the departments that we've heard tonight. There's
call out here. Reduction in employee recognition, I requested 2,000. That got reduced to 1,000. Couple of notes to some of the other items that I had requested. So as I think everybody knows, or most people know, we have a PR service as of this year, and we had included part of the mayor's budget and then also mine, where we thought we could pull together and cover her services for this year. And we were hoping to do the same for next year. We had requested that item. We also have the econ department is anticipating using her and then charging that to whichever project would be applicable. So I see that may have made, not sure. Compensation study is something that we have allocated for in years past. We have yet to be billed for it. Maybe she knows that it's lousy, so she's not gonna bill us. I doubt it, but so just carrying that forward because it's going to be obviously anticipated cost. So some of the capital requests that I had, one of them was ADP carrier connections that was approved. It will allow us to electronically connect to our providers, benefit providers. I'm sure you probably know what this stuff is. Whereas right now we're doing everything by paper, and then Dana is taking paper and providing it to our benefit providers. This will actually just be real time. People will be able to make their adjustments themselves, and probably a lot less potential for errors. It's a existing relationship that we have with ADP, and it's a line item that we've added on to it and see the benefit of. The request for ClearGov is, I think it's become more significant actually of a need than it was last year with the looming retirement of Tom, who is the account supervisor, and also Roseanne, the deputy treasurer. There are pieces of the financial department that they do that we will be losing out of in terms of that institutional knowledge and experience. Tom he does all of the personnel forecasting, and he has a spreadsheet that he uses that I believe pretty much nobody else understands except for Tom. Well, with ClearGov, we will be able to have our own department heads go in and forecast scenarios and provide that and know in real time how that would impact budgets. And then also it would provide the, the ACFR reporting that would be compliant with the GFOA. So we would be able to have I guess for lack of a better term, award-winning reporting. That is also something that they have offered to their existing clients. We signed a contract last year in December for 2025 to have 2023 rates for 2025. So ideally, I would really like to be able to keep that. That would be a huge help also for our budget. And then as a bonus, it has a website that would be integrated with ours. So we would have a place where all of our capital projects could be actually kept. People could go see where we're at with them in terms of time, budget, what the project is. It would create a significant amount of transparency that we don't have right now. And I think having our financial information out there, it would be interacting with BSNA, and it would just, I personally believe it would make things significantly easier for everybody that
that deals with personnel and also budgets to have a better, clear picture of what we're really looking at and the impacts of every single change in personnel or every single capital project and et cetera. So the website refresh was something that was planned in previous years. I put 20 grand down because I didn't have a quote. Quotes came back at least $5,000 more than that. That was the lowest. So the lowest was 25 something. And that one, as you'll see in the capital budget, was approved to move forward. And that is one that I have talked with Danielle about, that I would be willing to kick that down to future years, because I think that ClearGov is more important for us to have. And then that way we can also use, I think it's like 2 years time before Tom will be retired. We can use that time to really get up to speed and be using the software the way that I think we should be, and how it would benefit the city from things that he's doing right now, but making it easy for us. So I am willing to forgo that and kick it down another year. And then citywide strategic plan. I firmly believe that the city has no identity. We don't know what we want to be. We don't have a strategic citywide strategy. We have no planning there. We have developers come in, they say what they want to do, and then we kind of jump. And I think that we are beyond the time where we should be looking at what do we want to be? What does Franklin want to be? What does that look like? And then it can give us a clear path forward on all of our council action decisions, everything, it would just really shape where we need to go. And this is separate from the comprehensive master plan. So I don't know that Franklin has ever had a strategic plan, but I think that it is highly necessary. I think that through it we would get all shareholders' feedback and input, buy-in, and then moving forward, it'll be a lot easier to navigate where we're going, because we'll know where we're going.
Is that something you got quotes for, the 30,000, for someone to come in and kind
Yeah.
of like?
Yeah,
make that
actually,
process?
it's I want to say her name is Corey Poor or something. She is, ironically, she's doing the EDC strategic plan.
Okay.
And so I had talked with her after one of the meetings that I had popped in on, and had said, "Oh my God, we need this so badly. What would you charge for something like that?" And she said, depending on 25 to 30,000. So, she was also she was a speaker at a conference that I went to for WCMA, and I just thought she was fantastic.
She has experience with municipal
She has
level.
Yes, she has
Yeah.
a consulting firm. Yeah, and
Yeah,
she actually, I think she did comparable to my
Yeah.
job in the past. She's
Sure.
been in this for a long time. And one of the things that she had said really resonated with me. And this happens, I see this happening in all of our projects right now as we're trying to pick up the pieces. You can't have project planning and miss out on shareholders that should be there, and then implement it and expect a smooth implementation. And this is how we've been operating. So we need to find a clear plan forward, a clear path. And I really felt like what she was saying made a lot of sense. I thought it would be easier for everybody at the city to have some sort of buy-in on what we want to be and where we want to go. Make the day-to-day operation significantly easier.
And you don't think that's something that could be achieved in-house?
No.
With it? Okay.
No, I'm sorry, no, I don't. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's hard right now for me to do anything outside of dealing with fires all day long, every day. So I haven't even had a chance to jump on any of the initiatives that I wanted to accomplish, and we're a year and almost a year and a half into this. No, unfortunately I don't. But I do think it is vital before we're built out and we have something that we don't want. I think it makes sense to determine, and I think that, again, it really sets a clear path for all of us. And then if there's somebody that says, I don't want to support this, well, but you said right here, you agreed to this, and this is on that path, it's make life easier. And kind of, take control of our city. That's all I have. I think the only one, like I said, that made it forward was the website refresh. I'm totally okay with foregoing that, kicking it down the road, because I do strongly believe ClearGov is a much more beneficial project. And obviously the citywide strategic plan did not make it, but I see every day more and more of a need for it.
All right. Anything further there? Admin. Next we have finance. I think with Danielle gone, do we want to just postpone this?
Yeah, I would
Monday?
prefer.
Seems to make
I'm like,
sense.
oh my gosh, I really don't want to do it for her. I mean, I was trying to make notes of what she had asked for, but
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Just move that down to a Monday.
Perfect.
Item. To the agenda. What we all here put down. Then we have the assessor. I think it's next.
yeah,
March 6th,
the city assessor, the rates are pretty fixed. In terms of our contract this year, we are paying, I want to say 550,000, and next year, what page is it? 67.
Yeah,
Next year it'll be 150,000, and the same with the following year. The only unforeseen issue that we had with the expense side of things is that we wanted to apply for a license or a subscription to Kama Drive or something like that, software for assessor software. So I guess it's Market Drive, Kama, I don't know. Anyway, Catalyst has a monopoly, and we got charged all kinds of additional fees that we weren't expecting. So, but we were also kind of held hostage because we didn't have a software platform to use. Our prior assessor had their own software program. I can't remember what it is, but I think it was like a Microsoft related software. And
Microsoft Dynamics.
What's that?
Microsoft Dynamics.
Yes. So there's that, and that was just kind of a really bad situation like all together, everything there. So we're grateful that they're here and they're helping us clean up.
Any other questions on city assessors? Budget.
They're late.
I'm sorry?
They're late.
No, they're late because of that, but they're also late because when we requested the data from the previous assessor, we did not get it. It took, I think I started requesting September of last year or something like that. I'd have to look back. I know that I got something in October. It was not anywhere near all of our data. When I had called them on, hey, you're supposed to be providing us a final refresh of the data as well. I did not get that. Basically, our current city assessor had to go to them and try to get the rest of the information. We sent a demand letter. It was not provided in the way that we had requested, and not everything was provided as we had requested. So it's been pretty brutal. They only got the information this July. I think it was late July from the prior assessor. And the software, we paid a premium to have everything like implemented. I'm trying to think of what the basically put in, and that took quite a while to convert the data that we had, probably because we didn't have all the data. So it's been really a huge pain point. They are trying to do the best that they can to get up to speed as quick as possible, but they didn't come in until, I want to say it was March, and then they weren't able to even have any data that the previous assessor had until July, and everything else they've been just kind of winging it and trying to make a go of it. They took care of all of the commercial assessments and the TID assessments, and now they are working through the residential.
Isn't there a date the rule has to be certified?
Yeah, so we are actually having board of review meetings. The one that we had one for, I think it was September originally set, and then it got moved to October, and now it's November 20th.
We have a
I'm sure they do. I don't know what it is. Yeah, they didn't even have the information. So I mean, they're really doing the best that they can with what they have, and what they got was a really bad start to things.
no penalties of non-performance of the contract.
I want to sue them. Yes, I would like to, but
Where you at on that?
well, we sent a demand letter a while back, and we're at the point where we didn't get everything that we needed. So I guess it should probably come back to council as to whether or not we move forward with a lawsuit. But obviously, they didn't do the job that they were supposed to do.
We have an attorney looking at it?
Yes. Yeah. And just kind of on standby to, if we determine to move forward. But the other piece of it that became clear to both the city assessor and the city is that any changes in ownership or documents, those stopped being made in June. So they had to catch up all that last, the last part of the year as well. And there's they went back and found more net new construction from 2022 that wasn't accounted for as well. And unfortunately, I think that's as far back as they can go, as 2 years. So they did capture that. It's
We had been.
Do we get to count that net new construction that's that old in? Or do we lose
2022,
it?
yeah, everything else we lose. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I had said this before, but I had taken random addresses from a permit spreadsheet that I had gotten from inspection, and looked at the items that should have been listed under net new construction, and they weren't coded that way. It was just an increase in value, but it didn't relate back to that. So there was and I took a random sampling of 5, and 1 was, I think, done. And that's just the permitted stuff. I mean, we all know that there's things happening that aren't permitted either.
And that's a 3-year contract with the new firm we
Yes.
have, right?
Yes.
So they're obviously stepping off on a
No,
positive
they're
foot.
The old firm never even went out and looked at any property.
they weren't even here answering questions for the last month or so. Which is awesome.
Are the new guys going out like that?
Yeah, actually, they're in the field a lot. They consider themselves cleanup crew, and they want to get this right for the city. They were here August 20th, was it? At our common council meeting, or was it the one before? I don't know, but and kind of went through, gave a report of what they've seen, where they're at, and how things are looking. Green Bay, I'm trying to think now. Green Bay was a big one. They have a lot of municipalities. I'm not exactly sure what they were or are, but I know that Green Bay is a big one of theirs. They did lacrosse. They came in to fix lacrosse, I think, short term, and then handed over to the new city assessor, I believe. Yeah.
All right, any other comments, questions there? Next is city attorney at page 70. Legal services. Thank you for your patience.
That's the longest I have sat one spot in recollection. Council meetings, there would have been a recess.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
2.5 hours? 2.5 hours?
Maybe. Short version, essentially the same as last year, 5,000 less. Or same as this year. And this year was somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 less. Later last year, all the boards, commissions prepare the agendas, prepare all the resolutions, et cetera, that the legal secretary used to do, was directed to city staff. After that, the legal secretary retired, got her to come back for a third of the amount of time at a different rate. That's roughly about 50,000 less for this year than it's been for probably
Since 2007, when the line item was put in.
legal secretary started. And with regard to the hourly rate stuff, outside of the first 50 hours, which is just fixed, that was set by administration in 2001 a couple of times through the, we did request a CPI if other staff was getting it, but that was it. The rates per hour, the $90 an hour, 1,000 never passed for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Questions or comments there? Hearing none, thank you, sir.
I'm not a sir, I'm a kid.
This time we'll have to have you go first.
I keep trying to remember.
Who
when
set this
I was
agenda?
here all the time, and what were we working on about 15 years ago? Or something? What was it? We had special finance committee meetings all the time for months. I'll leave the chair back, middle, instead of that one. Thank you.
Thank you. What's that?
It's today Thursday, and then I said, oh yeah, counselor. After I figure out what needs to come out into the council, it's going to be awesome.
What municipal buildings then on 72? Next. Finish up the last couple here. Go ahead, the floor is yours. If you have anything you want to share, oversight.
No, I'm new, so just trying to process.
Just one moment.
One more point, through all the decades, not just $90 an hour. There's 3 other lawyers. One's 85, others are 5 an hour.
For staffing.
this year uncompensated over budget. Thousands of forthcoming fund through the decade. Orders of $1 billion uncompensated transfer budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just here for a learning experience.
Okay.
It's my first one. I know the budget's not very big. So,
And this is primarily for this building?
from the library. I do stuff for this one in the library and the PD, but the PD is pending right now with Maureen. There's some 70.
Yeah, I think, Joe is really good about trying to fix things and make them work and last longer. And he's trying to wade through the all of the sea of stuff that's in storage around here, and very eager to get rid of things, like all of the old desks and stuff that we have. And I told him just put it out there and we'll have a garage sale.
Right.
So, yeah, I think.
I do have a question. On the line item under consumable tools, the footnote on the back of your notes for toolbox, shelving, tools, no secure way to store tools. We just want to kind of elaborate on what it is that you're lacking and what you need.
I bring a lot of my own tools.
Oh,
I'm using
what?
tools.
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I forgot about that. Because we don't have any, and the budget has not in the past allowed for it. So he brings his own tools, and
Bring his own tools too?
I don't think so.
I was trying to fix the faucet outside the other day.
Well, I think.
I don't even have a pipe.
Yeah, I think
Well,
that the difference is that Joe tries to fix things. I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to be. I honestly, truly believe he's mechanically inclined. He tries to fix things instead of replacing them or calling somebody in.
And the 2,000 that was requested in this budget, that would go a long way to helping you, or do you think it's more than that? You should not have to bring your own tools.
Well, I also get them from the PD.
Okay.
So whenever they have stolen tools.
Well, let's clarify that. If there's property that's left, that's how it works. I'm hearing about this now for the first time, sorry to interject, but you cannot use your own tools. If you get injured using your own tools, it's a whole thing because it's, how was the tool gotten? There's a whole bunch of bad. I'm just hearing for the first time right now. So we cannot have that. So he's got to, and I was going to, so that's got to be dealt with. So we can't do that. We got to get you tools, got to get you the right things to work. Now, if you check them out at DPW and use DPW's tools, that's one thing. Kevin Schluter's got every tool everybody's got everything. So if you need a tool, please use it from DPW. We're working out with Kevin, but don't use your own stuff because that's not good for if you get injured. Theft, injury, damage, whatever. I have to excuse myself, but if there's something with this budget we need to hold on to the next one, so the director of finance is there.
Yeah. We're holding hers over.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Okay.
You.
That was my big question for you about what
I'm so glad you said that.
Try
I
to-
completely forgot.
That was getting my question.
get that for you.
And you can see that he's really aggressively standing up for himself and asking for what he needs. So.
It's just basic stuff. Like, I have drills down there that are like Black & Decker. They just don't work.
Right.
Probably.
But like,
It's not a good brand. It's not a high quality brand to use for stuff.
like a lot of time with rusty stuff, you get one shot, and then you're dead. Filling it out.
All right, anything else there you want to share?
Yeah, I think, what's the other thing? The shredding expenses, we're already at 70%. I'm seeing here.
Yeah, I think we've already, put the last one, I think, done for the year. And the same thing with like Packerland, the rugs, the rags. Pretty much already spent all that. The other professional service, which is like Packerland, the fish tank, stuff like that.
Shredding, is that for the citywide events that we hold, or is that
No,
just
that's
internal?
separate, right?
That's just for the building.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
We
do
have
you,
shredders.
do you think the uptick this year is because of the extra elections, or is there something else going on?
Well,
The extra election,
assessor's office, there's like a unbelievable amount of old things that we don't actually need to keep. What did we fill, like 2 bins so far of that?
Anyone else? Comments? Questions? Concerns? Hearing none, let's move on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Insurance.
I don't really present on that. I know we were looking at a 2% increase potentially for, I don't have anything new, I should say, than what was presented in the mayor's recommended. 2% for health approximately is what we're looking at. And then
Is that just premium, or are there other like deductible and
premium,
but everything else is staying the same?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
I know that I've seen some emails, so I'm like 700 emails behind in my inbox right now after everything. But I've seen some emails about NICE and some questions about should we be covering people that aren't on the health insurance plan, and I believe that's a no. Stuff like that. There might be some changes. I believe that they wanted to start charging a small deductible or a copay for all the services instead of it being free. But that's not beneficial.
We get affected activity of,
Where trying to find what
77?
okay.
It just looks like the projected activity this above that. Same. This looks like it's just a repeat of what was requested last year.
Yeah, so for the most part, we still have information coming in on renewals and stuff. The mayor's recommended budget is always earlier than the renewals. So they're still bringing these in. We're hoping to have them before October, 16th or 15th meeting with council, and pushing for a scheduled earlier personnel meeting so that way we can go through that. I believe that there's an increase in life insurance that is a couple grand a month.
Building insurance.
Yeah.
all this has got to be updated.
Yeah, I mean, we're going off of what we had at the moment.
All right, and what else do we have here?
Unclassified.
What's that?
Unclassified.
Yes, unclassified stuff. 7, 8, etc. Comments here, Kelly, or looks like it's the same budget as last year?
Yeah, I don't have any comments for it. I know Danielle
kind of oversees this. I'm not exactly sure where, like you said, it on same target as it was for the year prior.
Okay. Well, the contingency that usually.
And there likely will be with some of those issues.
Any other questions for the group? As you can see, this process, given its time, and there's pieces that numbers still have to get dropped into yet as we move along. But continuing kind of the agenda here, we will plan on getting together again on Monday, not next week, but 7th of October. We'll pick up the finance department then with Danielle and keep on going through the information. If you see down in the last portion of Monday's agenda, we should be able to hopefully start talking about anticipated tax levy and maybe some general guidance on where rates might be. We start kind of honing in on some of these. It looks like we'll have a pretty long laundry list of recommended amendments, I guess, if that's the proper term. Yep.
Yeah, we kind of went into this realizing that without the tax assessments, we're kind of in a very preliminary, kind of walking into this blindly sort of situation. It's been very challenging.
Anything else, anyone? Otherwise, I think we're ready to motion and you've got the information, so continue to look at it with a moment, and then we'll come back at it on 7th.
I'll move for adjournment.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you again very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.